Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, it is close to the end of the spring semester here at Clark Atlanta University, and my name is Dr. Stephanie Evans. It is my honor and privilege and joy to welcome you to the final episode for the spring semester of The Sojourn. Welcome to The Sojourn. This, as you know, is a year-long seminar celebrating, interrogating, investigating the work of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who was a faculty member here at Clark Atlanta University for 23 years. I would like to first say thank you to my colleagues, over 50 of whom have agreed to partake in this exciting journey that deepens every month that we gather. I would like to thank the staff and administration of Clark Atlanta University and the students who are increasingly taking ownership of this initiative. If you'll notice around the room, we have some art projects that Professor Hickey will introduce in just a minute, but this is really the best of what I could hope for, that this is a collaborative exercise, that this is a collaborative experience, and the artwork is just one example of how this is really a community ownership of this year-long program that is leading up to the February 50th anniversary commemoration conference, February 2013, which marks the 50th anniversary of Dr. Du Bois's passing, and will be an international conference here at Clark Atlanta University. So I'm going to bring up Professor Hickey, who represents, again, the excitement of what's going on here at CAU and how everyone here is taking ownership of the Du Bois legacy in some really exciting and unexpected ways. Professor Hickey.
Thank you, Dr. Evans.
Dr. Tate.
Earlier in the year, we'd been kicking around different ideas on how the art department could interface with the Du Bois Seminar Series. And the Atlanta Printmakers Studio, which is a group here in town that supports professional printmaking activities, every year they do an activity called the Big Print. And if you look in the back of the room, there's a large banner back there, 4 by 8 feet, that essentially, technically, it's a large woodcut. But we were one of 6 invitees this year to participate in this Big Print event. The theme for the event happened to be books and literature. And as soon as we realized that was on the table, we saw an immediate tie-in to the Du Bois series. And so I had an advanced printmaking class that agreed with me to take this on collaboratively, and we decided that we would focus on the souls of black folk as the topic. And so if you look at the iconography of the piece, there's obviously a portrait of Du Bois, but there are other cells of information that directly tie in to various parts of the book. We were thrilled with the way it turned out. It was a very public event. This took place with other schools in the area, SCAD, UGA, Kennesaw, West Georgia, etc. And our students did extremely well. The second, Candace Orange, who's sitting here, one of my students, worked on this block. I teach printmaking for the entire center, so I have students from Spelman and Morehouse as well. And Atu Rivera, sitting beside her, was also involved, especially in the printing phase of the block. The second opportunity we had this year is I was teaching illustration. And as the third project came around, we thought it would be interesting for the students to develop original illustrations as if they were being hired to do a new edition of Souls of Black Folk. And they had one restriction. The restriction was that they could not do a portrait of W.E.B. Du Bois. they had to take a conceptual approach. So that meant that they had to really think about what the book was about and what it was saying. And these are the 5 best of that suite that I'm exhibiting today. And 3 of the artists, 2 was one, Candace was another, and then Stephanie Sutton from Spelman is the 3rd artist that's here today with us. So please, before you leave today, take a close look, ask the students questions, and we're looking forward to the panel. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you to the student artists. When you look closely at the blood on the cotton, or the raised hands collectively, or the details that are behind that fist, and of course the veil and the African cloth for a flag, it's truly breathtaking, and that's why I'm so excited about this particular panel, because it really highlights the artistic aspect of Du Bois's work and the artistic possibilities in analyzing Du Bois's work. The readings for today are The Quest of the Silver Fleece, written in 1911, and The Dark Princess, a romance, written in 1928. And I thoroughly enjoyed these 2 texts and look forward to the discussion. The Quest of the Silver Fleece is grounded in the southern swamp soil, highlights local politics of race, race and family, race and land, race and labor, and national political agendas, and the impact of those national political agendas on local agriculture, particularly cotton. The Dark Princess really took me by surprise. I didn't know that Du Bois was as racy as he was in this novel. It was like, whoa, really? And in looking at some of the responses in 1928, some of the black upper class, the talented 10th, were not too pleased with the details of this novel. It is grounded in global race politics and talks about the Chicago political machine. But whereas The Quest of the Silver Fleece is more local, this is focusing on Pan-Africanism and resting on Asia, the Middle East, and India, with main characters from all of these different countries. And from a historian's perspective, it's really important to note that this 1928 text predates the 1954 Bandung and 55 Bandung conferences in Indonesia that really bridge Africa and Asia, the Afro-Asiatic black man. So that conference, held in 1955, was really anticipated in the major themes of Pan-Africanism that included Asia in its involvement, again, in very racy and interesting ways. This ties into the 1902 and 1912 The Negro Artisan, a Social Study. And what these sociological texts, part of the Atlanta University publications, do is really understand the research that Du Bois was involved in that really informed his storytelling of the details. In The Negro Artisan, the focus is labor and the black middle class. The texts talk about antebellum industrial training, again focusing on the level to which African Americans, particularly in the South, are grounded in agriculture and plantation agriculture and the remnants of plantation agriculture, in addition to trade, professional, and manufacturing fields. So these two, and really when I looked at the artisan, it was a sneaky way to put in art. And so these two really complement each other and reinforce our understanding of Dr. Du Bois as a truly interdisciplinary, a transdisciplinary, an international, and a transnational scholar. Leading our discussion this afternoon are 5 amazing people who I'm in debt to, and a wonderful new friend who's a respondent. Professor Phyllis Lawhorn, an assistant professor of English at Clark Atlanta University, has edited a composition reader, Ideas in African American Thought, Reading and Writing About Self and the World, now in its 9th edition and used by CAU for college composition since 1994. For many years, Professor Lawhorn has researched the way W.E.B. Du Bois's concept of double consciousness is experienced by other ethnic and racial groups besides African Americans. She is writing the introduction for a collection of essays by 13 scholars who examine 21st century notion of double consciousness. Titled Metaphor and Reality, New Perspectives on Double Consciousness, the collection of essays examines double consciousness from a religion, philosophical, educational, and literary point of view. She is the recipient at CAU of the Aldridge Macmillan Achievement Award for Outstanding Performance in Teaching and the Vulcan Award for Excellence in Teaching, both in 2007. Dr. Susan Wright is an associate professor and is interim chair of the Department of English. And I must give a special thank you because Dr. Wright was on my hiring committee. Wright's specialization is late 19th century and early 20th century American and African American literature. She teaches American and British literature. Wright recently co-edited a collection of essays, Passing in the Works of Charles Chestnut, published by the University Press of Mississippi in 2010, which includes an essay on Paul Marchand. The collection was awarded the Sylvia Lyons Render Award for Outstanding Chestnut Scholarship. Other publications include The Art of Displacement, Ruth Stewart and the Characterization of African Americans in Short Fiction at the Turn of the 19th and 20th Century, in the collection of Damned Mob of Scribbling Women. Love that title. All of the authors' bios are online, so I won't read entirety, but want you to get a sense of the quality of work that is here. Director of Clark Atlanta University Art Galleries, Tina Dunkley, received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the School of Visual Arts in New York City and a Master of Arts degree from Atlanta University. Highlights of her career in arts administration include a Smithsonian Faculty Fellowship in Managing Art Collections, 8 years as director of Georgia State University Art Gallery, School of Art Design, and producer of the International Cultural Olympiad Award, African American Culture and the American Experience. Most recently, Dunkley completed a catalog publication on the historic permanent collection that she curates at Clark Atlanta University, scheduled for release in 2012. Yay! And I'm sure that if you look on the front page of CAU's website, you will see that we have a very exciting event coming up on May 6th that Professor Dunkley will tell you about, with the release of In the Eye of the Muses. Hold it up. That is quite a victory. Dr. Juliet Blackburn Beeman is, and I can't help but smile when I say that name, she's one of the welcoming committee. As I'm new here, I've just been really embraced by quite a few people, and she is a special person. Dr. Juliet Blackburn Beeman is Adjunct Professor of Humanities at Clark Atlanta University. She has earned her Doctorate of Arts in Humanities and African American Studies from Clark Atlanta, and an MS in Retail Marketing from New York University, and an AB in Art with a French minor from Spelman College. Her expertise in marketing and merchandising has resulted in many national features, including thehistorymakers.com and Black Enterprise magazine. Dr. Blackburn Beeman's credential from New York School of Interior Design and Trafalgar School of Fashion Design resulted in extensive international travel, including training in Sierra Leone. A daughter of activist educators, Dr. Blackburn Beeman has dedicated her life to art, humanities, study, and enterprise, as well as creative and social advancement. And Dr. Black. Daniel Black is a native of Kansas City, Missouri, yet spent the majority of his childhood years in Blackwell, Arkansas. He was granted a full scholarship to Clark College in Atlanta, Georgia, where he majored in English. He was awarded the Oxford Modern British Studies Scholarship and studied abroad at Oxford University, Oxford, England. Upon graduation from Clark College, magna cum laude, by the way. He was granted a full graduate fellowship to Temple University in pursuit of a PhD in African American Studies. Completing this phase of his academic career in '93 with Sonia Sanchez as one of his dissertation advisors, Dr. Black returned to his alma mater in order to help establish the tradition of top-notch scholars who publish and remain at historically Black institutions. As a tenured associate professor, he now aims to provide an example of young African Americans of the importance of self-knowledge and communal commitment. Dr. Black is my brother. Definitely kindred spirits. And he is an example of the type and level of award-winning professors that we have here at Clark Atlanta, which aren't always recognized in their hometown. I've been to Yale, UPenn, and Northwestern in the past 3 months, and every place I went, someone said, "Oh, you're at Clark Atlanta. That's where Danny Black is." And so we often don't understand the impact that our own scholars make until we go abroad and see the value. And so not only is he, my brother, but as is exemplified in the awards and the stature of the entire panel that we have right here at Clark Atlanta University, truly world-class scholars. Professor Black has been nominated. Perfect Peace, if you haven't read it, is a mind blower. It is absolutely, one of his 6 novels? 5 novels, okay, 5 novels that rightly should be required reading here at Clark Atlanta University, which was nominated for the Townsend Award, the Ernest Gaines Literary Award, the Lambda Literary Award, the Pharaoh Dunkley Prize, and most recently a Guggenheim Award nomination by Houston Baker of Vanderbilt and Dwight McBride of Duke. So again, a heavy hitter panel. I'm going to turn it over to the panelists who will read in order of Professor Dunkley, Professor Blackburn Beeman, Professor Lawhorn, Wright, and then Black. And responding, we have Dr. Cameron Van Patterson, who I recently met at the Association for the Study of African American Life and History in Richmond, Virginia, who by fate has come here to Clark Atlanta University. He's a recent graduate of the African and African American Studies Department at Harvard University, and is truly a special individual because, again, well-trained. So we have 3 representation of the PhD programs of African American Studies here on this campus. Very well-trained, but down to earth, because after all, he is from Long Beach. Dr. Van Patterson will be the respondent. So we will begin this exciting panel to close the spring semester with Professor Dunkley.